Gralax 7 had been a quiet war, as far as galactic battles went. Robots fought robots in endless, precise engagements, leaving little for organics to do but spectate from the safety of orbital command stations. No mess, no unpredictability, just cold, calculated efficiency. That was, until the Torven Alliance made their desperate gamble, hiring humans. Rylan Shepherd, the commander of Earth's elite ghostwalkers, stepped off the dropship onto the shattered streets of the megacity. He looked out over the landscape of collapsed skyscrapers, half-slagged alien vehicles, and patrols of towering enemy mechs gliding through the rubble with robotic precision. His second-in-command, Zane Hawke, followed close behind, lugging an oversized pack of gear and wearing his trademark grin. "Nice place," Zane quipped, kicking a piece of alien tech across the ground. "Bit of a fixer-upper, though." Behind them, a delegation of Torven officials watched in mute horror as the human soldiers began unloading what looked like tools, wrenches, crowbars, even a few bats wrapped in duct tape. One of the Torven, a spindly figure named Grell stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Commander Shepherd, surely these are just your auxiliary supplies. Where are your drones, your automata, your war machines?" Rylan paused, turning to Grell with a faint smirk. "You're looking at them." Grell blinked his 4 eyes. You cannot seriously be sending yourselves into battle. That's barbaric. That's..." "Effective," Rylan interrupted. "Barbaric works just fine where we're from." The Ghostwalkers fanned out, ignoring the stunned Torven as they began preparing the battlefield. The enemy, an empire of AI-controlled forces called the Zetari Collective, had relied on their machines to overwhelm the Torven forces. Their drones and mechs operated with cold precision, calculating every move with flawless logic. But humanity had no intention of playing by the rules. The first engagement came at dusk. A Zetari patrol, 5 towering mechs armed with plasma cannons, moved through the ruins in formation. The Ghostwalkers didn't bother with traditional tactics. Instead, they set traps, EMP charges buried in debris, smoke bombs to obscure sightlines, and Zane's personal favorite, a hacked Zetari recon drone projecting holograms of human soldiers darting through the shadows. The mechs opened fire on phantoms while the real soldiers moved in. Rylan led the charge, vaulting over rubble with a crowbar in hand. He pried open the side panel of a mech, jamming a grenade into its exposed circuitry. The explosion sent it toppling into its allies. Zane, meanwhile, had rigged another mech to overload its power core, using a handheld device he'd jokingly referred to as a toaster mod. Within minutes, the patrol was reduced to sparking scrap, and the humans had disappeared back into the shadows. From orbit, the Zetari AI commanders analyzed the encounter. Their databanks flagged the humans' actions as erratic and non-optimal. The algorithms struggled to adapt. "Pattern recognition failing," one Zetari report read. "Human movements unpredictable." Back on the ground, Zane was already working on their next move. Sitting cross-legged in the ruins of a cafe, he tinkered with a salvaged Zetari drone. "They've got all this fancy tech, but they can't handle a little chaos," he said, grinning. "Rylan, you think I can rig this thing to play music? Something obnoxious like, oh, I don't know, Rick Astley." Rylan rolled his eyes but couldn't hide his amusement. "Just make sure it distracts them long enough for us to blow up the next batch." Their unorthodox methods baffled the Torven. This is madness," Grell exclaimed as he watched Zane duct-taping wires together. "The Zetari are sending reinforcements. They'll adapt. They always do." Rylan leaned on his crowbar, staring up at the horizon where the glow of incoming reinforcements lit the sky. "Let them adapt," he said. "We'll just keep surprising them." As night fell, the Zetari unleashed their response, massive spider-like drones designed specifically to hunt organics. Their long legs clicked ominously on the shattered pavement as they began their pursuit of the Ghostwalkers. The humans retreated deeper into the city, using the maze of ruins to their advantage. From the top of a crumbling tower, Rylan surveyed the advancing machines, their red eyes glowing like malevolent stars. "Well," he muttered, hefting his crowbar over his shoulder. "They brought the big toys. Good thing we've got bigger brains." With that, the humans vanished into the ruins, leaving only traps, confusion, and the promise of chaos behind them. The Zetari's reinforcements spread through the ruins like a tide of steel and red lights. Their spider-like drones were faster, more agile, and far deadlier than the earlier patrol mechs. Designed for hunting organic life, these machines carried advanced heat sensors, motion detectors, and even rudimentary behavioral prediction algorithms. On paper, they were perfect hunters. In practice, they were no match for humans. Rylan Shepherd crouched in the shadows of a collapsed overpass, watching through binoculars as the drones moved in tight, coordinated formations. Their searchlights swept the rubble, and their long, mechanical legs carried them smoothly over obstacles that would have stopped most ground units. Rylan clicked his comms. "Zane, status?" Zane Hawke's voice came through, cheerful as always. "Almost ready. Just putting the finishing touches on our surprise party." "Keep it subtle," Rylan deadpanned. "Subtle? Don't know the meaning of the word," Zane shot back. While Zane worked, the rest of the Ghost Walkers split into small teams, spreading out across the city to lure the Zetari deeper into their trap. Each group had their own style. One team used firecrackers scavenged from a nearby market to create distracting bursts of noise. Another used reflective panels to blind the drone's sensors temporarily. The Zetari's algorithms struggled to prioritize targets, their rigid programming at odds with the humans' improvisational tactics. From a hidden command point, Grelvas watched the unfolding chaos through a live feed, his claws twitching nervously. "This is madness," he muttered to himself. "No coordinated attack, no clear lines of engagement. How are they still alive?" Back on the ground, Rylan led his team into the depths of an abandoned skyscraper. The building had been gutted by plasma fire, leaving behind a skeleton of steel beams and shattered glass. It was the perfect playground for the Ghost Walkers. As the Zetari drones entered the building, their long legs skittering over debris, Rylan gave the signal. A series of explosions ripped through the lower floors, causing entire sections of the structure to collapse. The drones scrambled to adjust, but the humans were already on the move, climbing through the wreckage with a speed and agility the machines couldn't match. One drone, separated from the group, found itself face to face with Rylan. Before it could react, he swung his crowbar into its sensor array, shattering it with a single blow. "Not so tough without your cameras, are you?" he muttered. Meanwhile, Zane's masterpiece was finally ready. From the roof of a nearby building, he activated his repurposed Zetari drone. The device flew into the midst of the enemy formations, blaring Earth music at full volume, Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." The effect was immediate. The Zetari drones froze, their behavioral prediction algorithms overloaded by the unexpected sensory input. As the song looped, the humans moved in, destroying the confused machines one by one. "This is your idea of subtle?" Rylan asked over the comms. "Hey, it worked, didn't it?" Zane replied, his laughter audible even through the static. The Zetari weren't entirely beaten, though. Higher-level AI commands began filtering down, adapting to the humans' antics. The spider drones recalibrated their tactics, splitting into smaller, independent units to reduce the effectiveness of the humans' distractions. Rylan knew they couldn't rely on the same tricks forever. The next phase of their plan required precision. Using a mix of human ingenuity and scavenged Zetari tech, Zane had rigged a communication relay to broadcast a false signal. The signal mimicked a Zetari command directive, instructing a portion of their forces to converge on a false location, a warehouse packed with makeshift explosives. As the drones moved to investigate, Rylan and his team struck the remaining forces, taking them out in quick, brutal engagements. By the end of the night, the Ghost Walkers had reduced the Zetari reinforcements to a fraction of their original strength. Grelvas, watching from the command point, was both horrified and awestruck. "They're not soldiers," he said to no one in particular. "They're chaos incarnate." Back at their temporary base, Zane leaned back against a pile of rubble, wiping sweat from his forehead. You know, I think we're really starting to make an impression. Rylan, sitting nearby and sharpening his crowbar, gave a small chuckle. Yeah, let's just hope they don't adapt faster than we do. In the distance, the Zetari command systems recalibrated once more. They weren't done yet. The next morning, Gralax 7 was eerily quiet. The shattered city lay still, its silence broken only by the faint hum of distant Zetari drones recalibrating. Humanity's victory the night before had been decisive, but Rylan Shepherd knew better than to celebrate too soon. The Zetari were learning, adapting, just as he expected they would. Rylan leaned over a holographic map of the city, his expression grim. "They'll hit us hard this time," he said. "No more walking into traps. We need to force them into mistakes." Zane Hawke, sprawled on a piece of rubble with his tools scattered around him, smirked. "You say force them into mistakes, but we both know what that really means. Wing it." Rylan gave him a dry look. "That's what we do best." The Zetari Collective launched its counter-offensive with precision and overwhelming force. Hundreds of drones poured into the city, moving with surgical coordination. They avoided the traps and distractions that had previously crippled them. Their command algorithms adjusted on the fly, creating a rolling wave of destruction designed to flush the humans into the open. But the Ghost Walkers had anticipated this. Using the ruins to their advantage, they split into even smaller units, vanishing into the depths of the city's labyrinthine underground infrastructure. While the Zetari scanned for heat signatures and movement, the humans executed their final gambit, a direct assault on the Zetari Command Center. The Zetari Command Center was a fortress of alien architecture and glowing interfaces buried beneath the city. It was guarded by an elite contingent of drones, machines equipped with adaptive algorithms and rapid response capabilities. But for all their advancements, the drones couldn't account for human audacity. Rylan led the assault, his team moving like shadows through the ruins. They used a mix of scavenged tech, guerrilla tactics, and sheer grit to breach the outer defenses. Zane, ever the improviser, hacked into the Zetari security systems using a cobbled-together device that ran on what looked suspiciously like a car battery. "Old Earth tech," he said with a grin, "too outdated for their systems to block." Once inside, the team faced the Zetari Command Core, a massive AI construct housed in a pulsating crystalline structure. The room was an alien symphony of light and sound, with data streams cascading across the walls in dazzling patterns. The AI spoke, its voice a chilling monotone. "Humanity, your unpredictability is acknowledged. Adaptations have been made. Surrender is advised." Rylan responded by hefting his crowbar. "We'll take our chances." The Ghost Walkers set to work planting explosives around the command core, all while fending off waves of spider drones. Zane worked furiously to disrupt the AI's systems, using every trick in his book. At one point, he managed to upload a fragment of Earth's internet, a chaotic jumble of memes, cat videos, and conflicting data streams. The AI hesitated, its systems faltering as it tried to pass the nonsensical input. Did you just break their AI with cat videos?" one of the soldiers asked, incredulous. Zane grinned. "Hey, chaos is what we do best." As the team finished planting the explosives, the AI adapted again. Automated defenses activated, sealing the room and deploying shock drones armed with energy weapons. The humans fought desperately, using every ounce of their skill and ingenuity to hold the line. Rylan, battered but unrelenting, charged the AI's interface and smashed it with his crowbar. Sparks flew as the crystalline structure shattered, and the AI's voice stuttered into silence. "Sometimes," Rylan said, panting, "you just gotta break the touchscreen." With seconds to spare, the team evacuated as the explosives detonated, collapsing the command center in a thunderous explosion that echoed through the ruins. The destruction of the Zetari command center sent shockwaves through their forces. Without centralized coordination, the drones faltered, their movements becoming disjointed and ineffective. The Torven Alliance seized the opportunity, launching a full-scale counterattack to reclaim the planet. Back at the Torven command post, Grelvas watched the victory unfold with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "They did it," he murmured. "Those lunatics actually did it." Rylan and Zane, battered and covered in grime, returned to the post as heroes. Zane immediately began rummaging through supplies, looking for anything resembling a cold beer. "So, what's next?" he asked casually. Rylan smirked. "Next, we find another fight. Someone's got to keep these machines in their place." As the Ghostwalkers prepared to leave Gralax 7, a Torven journalist approached Rylan. "Commander Shepherd," the journalist began, "your tactics were unprecedented. How do you explain humanity's success against a force like the Zetari?" Rylan paused, looking out over the ruined city. "War isn't about tech," he said. "It's about heart. And humans, we've got plenty of that." Behind him, Zane added with a grin, "And memes. Don't forget the memes." The story closed on the image of the Ghostwalkers boarding their dropship, heading toward their next mission. Humanity had changed the rules of galactic warfare forever, and the galaxy would never forget it.